Welcome to British Accent Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the British Accent Podcast, where we dive into conversations that truly matter. I'm Alex, and today we're tackling a topic that affects millions yet still carries a lot of stigma: mental health.
That's right, Alex. Despite increasing awareness, many people still feel uncomfortable talking about their mental well-being. But why does this stigma persist? And more importantly, how can we change that?
Those are important questions, Sophie. In this episode, we'll discuss why mental health is just as crucial as physical health, break down common misconceptions, and explore ways to support ourselves and those around us.
Plus, we'll share some real-life stories and expert insights that might change the way you think about mental health. So, let's dive in.
Let's start by addressing the biggest issue. Why does mental health still carry so much stigma? In many cultures, mental struggles are seen as a sign of weakness, something to be ashamed of rather than treated like any other health condition.
Exactly, and that stigma often prevents people from seeking help. They might fear being judged, misunderstood, or even discriminated against. But the truth is, mental health challenges can affect anyone regardless of age, background, or status.
And it's not just about severe conditions like depression or anxiety. Everyday stress, burnout, and emotional struggles also fall under mental health. Yet, people are often told to just toughen up or get over it, which is really unhelpful.
Yes, and that attitude can make things worse. Ignoring mental health can lead to more serious issues, affecting everything from work performance to relationships. But if we start normalizing conversations around it, we can help break the stigma.
That's why education is key. The more we understand about mental health, the more we can change the way we talk about it. For example, would you tell someone with a broken leg to just walk it off? No. So why do we do that with mental health?
Exactly. We need to treat mental health with the same importance as physical health. And part of that is changing the language we use. Instead of saying you'll be fine, we can say, I'm here for you. How can I help?
Absolutely. So, what can we do to create a more supportive environment for mental well-being? Well, one simple step is just listening. Sometimes people don't need solutions, they just need to be heard.
Yes, and also encouraging open conversations, whether it's at home, at work, or with friends. The more we talk about it, the more we break down the barriers.
Speaking of breaking barriers, let's discuss some success stories, people who have spoken openly about their mental health and inspired change.
Yes, one example that comes to mind is Simone Biles, the Olympic gymnast. She made headlines when she stepped back from competing to prioritize her mental health. It was a bold move, but it showed the world that mental well-being is just as important as physical health.
That was such a powerful moment. And another example is Prince Harry. He's been open about struggling with his mental health after losing his mother. By sharing his experiences, he's helped encourage conversations about mental health on a global scale.
And let's not forget everyday people, students, employees, parents who are also opening up and seeking help. The more we talk about these things, the more we create a culture where mental health is taken seriously.
That's right. And speaking of seeking help, let's talk about the resources available. Therapy, counseling, meditation apps, support groups. There are so many ways to get help now.
Yes, and not all support has to be professional. Sometimes, just having a trusted friend or family member to talk to can make a huge difference.
Exactly. So, if you're struggling, know that you are not alone. There are people who care and want to help. And if you know someone who might be struggling, reach out to them. It could mean more than you know.
That's such an important point, Alex. Sometimes, just checking in on someone with a simple "how are you really doing?" can open up a conversation that makes a difference.
Absolutely. And one thing I've noticed is that different cultures have different attitudes toward mental health. In some places, therapy is totally normal, but in others, people still hesitate to talk about their struggles.
Right, and that's why education is so key. When we understand that mental health is just as important as physical health, we start to break down those barriers and remove the stigma.
Exactly. And another thing is self-care, taking time for yourself, setting boundaries, and doing things that bring you joy. Mental health isn't just about dealing with struggles. It's also about maintaining wellness in everyday life.
Yes, and self-care looks different for everyone. Some people love journaling, others meditate, exercise, or even just take a break from social media when needed.
Great point. And speaking of that, let's talk about some practical tips for maintaining good mental health in daily life.
Yes, so one simple thing people can do is practice mindfulness. Just taking a few minutes each day to breathe deeply or focus on the present moment can really help reduce stress.
That's a great one. Another tip is maintaining a support system, whether it's friends, family, or a therapist. Having someone to talk to can make a huge difference.
Exactly, and I think people often underestimate the power of small, daily habits. Things like getting enough sleep, drinking water, and moving your body can have a big impact on mental health.
So true. And let's not forget the importance of setting boundaries, knowing when to say no and protecting your energy.
Absolutely. Sometimes we feel guilty for taking time for ourselves, but it's actually necessary for our well-being.
Right. So, if you're listening and feeling overwhelmed, remember, small steps matter. Start with one thing, whether it's reaching out to a friend, taking a break, or just breathing deeply for a moment.
And if you're struggling, know that you're not alone. There's always help available, and talking about mental health is a sign of strength, not weakness.
Exactly. All right. Let's keep this conversation going. What are some mental health habits that work for you? Let us know.
Yes, and if you're looking for ways to improve your mental well-being, don't be afraid to experiment with different techniques. What works for one person might not work for another, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Some people find journaling helpful, while others might prefer talking to someone or engaging in a creative activity like painting or playing music.
Right, and I love that we're talking about this because breaking the stigma around mental health means normalizing these conversations. The more we talk about it, the more we can help each other.
Exactly, and that includes self-compassion, being kind to yourself, especially on tough days. We all have ups and downs, and it's important to treat ourselves with the same kindness we'd show a friend.
Such a great reminder. And for anyone listening, just remember that taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health.
Yes, so let's continue to support each other, have open conversations, and make mental health a priority in our daily lives.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope this conversation has given you some insight and encouragement when it comes to mental health.
Yes, and remember, breaking the stigma starts with us by having open conversations, educating ourselves, and supporting those around us.
If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to share it with a friend who might need to hear it. And if you have any thoughts, experiences, or tips on mental health, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. You can reach out to us on social media or leave a comment. Also, make sure to subscribe to British Accent Podcast so you never miss an episode.
Take care of yourself, be kind to your mind, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.